What up, party people? Welcome back to another episode of Hops Geek News, your home for comic books, movies, TV shows, and typically we do feature a beer of the week. I am Matt. With me, as always, is Lauren. Today we are going to talk about Eyes of Wakanda, the 4 episodes that premiered on Disney Plus last week. Mark Bernardin, actually, if you know that name, he's often seen with Kevin Smith. He's done a lot of really great comic books and other great screenwritings. He actually was one of the writers and executive producers on this, and he was saying how the writers room started back in 2020. So this has been a long coming, finally out. It is good to go. But first things first, go ahead, find us on social media, Hops Geek News, any social media platform, any podcasting platform. If this is your first time, make sure to like, subscribe, share, follow, help the podcast grow, drop a review. And then typically we go into quick, this is our beer, this is how it matches the week, what we're reading or watching. So we give you our reading recommendations for comic books, and maybe if we're watching anything, we'll go into some news and then our main topics. So with that all said, I'm drinking a King Julius because it fits the theme of Wakanda. I feel like, we're talking kings and royalty and stuff. This is from Treehouse Brewing up in Massachusetts. Some royalty of beer, if you will. And, it's wicked good, man. I love this beer. That's what I got. Lauren said I'm going to be jealous of her beer. So I'm interested. What you cooking?
I think it's more so my beer can. So I don't have anything on par with Black Panther, but I just got this beer and I wanted to drink it as soon as possible. And it made sense to drink it on the show because it's Magneto.
Oh,
man,
they always have the best stuff.
Right. It's Polarity Shift by Mason Aleworks. And yeah, it's a hazy double IPA with Mosaic and Citra. And yeah, if anybody's heard of this brewery or seen their cans, like I keep all their cans. Like I'm looking at them. I got Gambit, I got Thor, Thing, Wolvie, Deadpool, Mickey, and that's it. Oh, and Wonder Woman. And now I have Magneto.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's pretty dope. I'm a big fan. Big fan. All right. You're right. You got me.
I posed it with my little Wolvie with the adamantium coming out of it.
Oh, yeah. That's cool. Did you just got that for your birthday?
No. You might have gotten me this. I think I got it last year on my birthday.
So technically I wasn't wrong.
That's true. You're just off by a year.
Just off a little bit. But yeah, no, that is a pretty rad can. I do like their cans a lot. Speaking of pretty cool artwork, let's go into some comic books we got. Man, I got some right here, actually. I like to, not only do I review comic books, but I pick up the ones typically if I really like them, because I like to support my local comic book shop and I like to support the writers and artists and things like that. So I did Sisterhood issue number 2 from Image Comics Ghost Machine.
Damn, I need to read that.
Really good Maytel shoot, Layla Lies and Alex Sinclair. This is issue 2 of 5 from this little Hyde Street side project we're doing. Things get a little creepy in the artwork here, but I really, really like how they're drawing Violet into like the glass and everything like that. If people on YouTube are watching, you can watch it there. I'm showing some of the artwork. It looks really rad. Aside from that, one that really surprised me this week was the Cheetah in Cheshire robbed the Justice League by Greg Rucka, Nicola Scott, Annette Kwok, and Troy P. Terry. This is not 2 characters that I ever would have really thought have worked well together, but it was a very more emotional, narrative, character-driven style issue of basically Cheetah is in an identity crisis. She doesn't want to be owned by the god or whatever powers are holding her as a cheetah anymore. And so she's really kind of trying to find herself. I think that's something a lot of people could relate to. And although I can't really relate to the fact that they decide to rob the Justice League at the end, but we'll see how that goes for them, I guess. And then Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong issue number 2, or volume 2, issue number 3. This is Brian Buccellato. That team just doing absolutely amazing work. And the really special part about this issue is if you like the Monarch lore, the monsters lore, that kind of stuff coming from the Justice League Godzilla Kong universe, I recommend reading this because they're starting to dive more into Monarch and more of the monsters. So I think our Justice League members and everybody else, and not our Justice League, the Argus members too, might be going into some deep domains here shortly. And then I've got, Green Lantern, Absolute Green Lantern I picked up. Gonna be honest, that one's not vibing with me too much. I'm just kind of feeling.
Sometimes I feel like comics need an issue or 2 to really.
Well, this is issue 5. I'm 5 issues in. I think if people are really enjoying it, I think you should give it a chance. I just don't think it's for me. But I didn't pick this up because it was sold out. Captain America issue number 2. This is where he meets Dr. Doom. That issue was really good, I thought, because Captain America is really struggling with this modern day war. And then also his counterpart was flashing back to when he was deployed in Afghanistan and Iraq. And a lot of it really invoked a lot of senses to me from being deployed in that region a couple of times. So seeing like the dust, and they really nailed the style of housing that's out there in the Middle East, and just things like that really kicked up a lot of memories. And then, of course, there's a really cool ending with Captain America and Von Doom. But the last book I read was Daredevil Cold Day in Hell. This is a variant cover. Daniel Warren Johnson did this variant cover, but Charles Soule was the writer, and Steve McNiven, Dean White were also on the coloring and the art. This left me wrecked. This issue absolutely floored me with how sad it was of an ending for Frank and Bullseye and Matt. It was something I didn't quite see coming, but I kind of had a feeling. And the artwork was just really raw and gritty. Like the texture of these old men, like Bullseye, for example, and some of the things that they do with Frank in this issue really made you squirm in parts too, as you were really reading it and looking at the
Oh,
art.
I read it. Yeah.
It was. What'd you
It's,
think about it?
I mean, it's really sad. I guess I knew it was going to be a short run, but I guess I kind of forgot. So, I mean, they clearly
Yeah.
they put the end at the end. It was kind of interesting. I did enjoy the series overall because it's kind of a, a look into the future, but the future is very dark and bleak. And yeah, seeing a character that's such a badass in so many ways that even when he's vulnerable, he's still such a badass. It was interesting. It was bittersweet, but I liked there was one moment between him and Frank that I thought was but very sweet and timeless, I guess, with them. Their
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
relationship
yeah,
is
yeah.
kind of timeless, but yeah, I think it's definitely worth reading. I mean, I think that, I mean, I was, when they announced it at New York Comic Con, that was one of the highlights of New York Comic Con for me. It's
Oh
like the
man,
more
yeah,
I
that was
think
a
about
year
all
ago
this, yeah, the
almost.
stuff that I got to experience last October, the more upset I'm not going. I
It's
know you are
yeah.
too, but yeah, that panel was 100% a highlight. That was a fantastic panel announcing that, and then Charlie Cox and everything. And yeah, so I'm really glad I read it, and I do think if you're a Daredevil fan, give it a chance.
Yeah, that's what I've got as far as reading. I know I have an issue of something that you read and even got to do an interview this week because I picked it up. I wanted a hard copy
Woo! I
for
got the poster
myself.
on
I
the
haven't
wall.
read it yet. I have not read it yet, but tell us about what this is.
So, this is a fantastic comic. I know I've been talking about the Minor Threats universe for gosh, 2 years now. I think I've been
Yeah.
talking about it and been reviewing it for Nerd Initiative. So they keep doing new 4-issue runs, and this is a team up between Archie and friends, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and Minor Threats. So Sabrina needs to get this item that's in Twilight City, which is the fictional city that the Minor Threats characters live in, because she wants to bring her boyfriend to the Witches of Morlock's ball, and he's immortal. So she has to get this item. Her original plan follows through, but she hears that Archie and the gang in the Riverdale High School are
Oh,
going to Twilight City on a field trip. So
as one
she
does.
decides to do some magic and pretend to be a Riverdale student. Well, they crash into the worst part of Twilight City, and of course, chaos ensues. And Frankie, Playtime Flawless, is there, and it's just so fun because I've never really read Archie comics other than like Jay and Silent Bob, and I mean, I know of
Yeah, yeah,
Archie,
yeah, yeah.
but the level of innocence is so pure and
Harry
sweet, and
loves
then you
Archie.
have Frankie just literally murdering somebody by bashing them in the head with, like, um, let's just say something magic. That's all I'll say, because she doesn't
That's
want
what I
magic
love.
in the town. Like, she's done with magic,
Right.
and, well, Sabrina the Teenage Witch just showed up.
Oh, okay. This is what I love about the Archie crossovers, for example, with Jay and Silent Bob from the last week, right? What I love is Archie is so innocent. So Carrie's always been an Archie fan. His comics from newspapers and things, just innocent looking Archie. Meanwhile, you have Jay and Silent Bob. They own a weed store, a dispensary. Sorry, Jesus,
Like,
what am
it's
I, an old
legal
man? A
now,
weed store.
even though
I
they
know,
still
but
act
then
like
they're
it's
trying to
not.
get them to to get really high with them and all this, and it's just Archie, and he's in a band and all this. It's really hilarious at the same
But at
time.
one
And
point, like, the one kid's parents are going out of town. They're like, "We're gonna drink so much root beer," and Archie's like, "I don't know. Have you ever seen that guy on a sugar high? It's not pretty."
I
So
do
it's
look.
it's
They
very
maintain the
cute,
innocence with these. It's awesome.
but
It's a really good collab.
it works. And
Yeah,
like, you don't need to have read any Minor Threats or Archie to enjoy this. It can be enjoyed standalone. They do a good job of catching you up on all these characters.
yeah.
But it is connected to the Minor Threats universe. And as much fun as the Jay and Silent Bob one was, that was kind of like a one off, and it was just to be
It was.
silly.
Yeah.
this is an actual story. Like there's actual stuff going on. Archie and the gang have gotten themselves into a sticky situation, and there's 3 more issues coming. And if you go to Nerd Initiative's YouTube, we did get to interview the writer Timmy Haig and the artist for this one, Scott Koblish. Timmy worked on the script with Patton Oswalt and Jordan Bloom, who have overseen the script on all of the stories and minor threads. So it stayed consistent. The art is fantastic. So we got to interview the 2 of them, and they dropped a lot of little future nods and like little things that we can expect that are coming up that just got me that much more excited for where this comic is going.
Nice.
So,
well, I'll read it and give you my notes. Did you watch anything exciting this week?
No.
I can tell you that we have something pretty exciting coming up when the embargo releases this coming week on the 15th. That's going to be exciting. That hit our inbox. So, but I did watch a couple things. Happy Gilmore 2. I watched that. And honestly, being that Adam Sandler's older, I was going into this with, all right, let's just watch it, get it over with. I've been putting it off because I didn't expect anything out of this. I will tell you, I was very pleasantly surprised. I was laughing a lot of the time. I don't know if it's just
most of it.
It was funny. I thought it was a decent movie, honestly. I don't know if something about it. It might have been the nostalgia train that really took me back to the first one. I will say there is a character that they do something with very early on that I didn't really agree with, and I just thought that was interesting.
But you get why they did it, but it's absurd that they did it.
Yeah, and she actually, I said, well, spoiler alert, Virginia dies. And
Jesus, Matt, you didn't even give people a chance to pause it. I hope they don't remember who that is.
I don't think they actually care, but she looks way better now than she did in the 90s, man.
That haircut in the 90s was terrible.
But she's a babe, and then got rid of her right away. That's probably why, because Adam Sandler's wife is like, no, sir, not in front of our daughter. You're not going to kiss another woman or whatever. And both daughters, actually. But it was funny. I like how they brought a lot of the characters back, a lot of that stuff. I thought the story worked. Oh my God, yeah. And then they had that NBA player, Boban, who was the son of the other gigantic tall guy. And there was just a lot of cute, funny callbacks. So I think for me, the nostalgia worked in this instance. It's not always going to work, especially with Adam Sandler these days, but this is one of those where it worked for me. And then
like Grown Ups too.
Oh God, I didn't care for the
Grown Ups ones.
Did not care for those ones, but I don't like Kevin James and I don't like Rob Schneider. So when Rob Schneider briefly appeared in this movie, I was just like, ugh.
I used to like Rob Schneider.
Well, yeah, he was funny. And then
Jessica.
Deuce Bigalow, those were like, okay. But though I did watch one other thing, which was I've watched the first episode of Wednesday's new season. I wasn't dying to watch this. Honest to God, I had no idea it was even coming out this past week. And everybody's like, there's a Wendy's meal. And I don't go to Wendy's. If I go to church, it's Cookout for a milkshake.
I have gone to Wendy's.
Go to fast food.
Twice in probably the past decade, and it was to get Frosties. And the first time I did it, the kids were all like flabbergasted that I was taking them through like.
I don't go to Wendy's.
Frosties are delicious.
Well, right. That's why I go to Cookout. I mean, sometimes I get a burger or a hot dog, but most of the time I'm getting a milkshake. And
we got Cookout on the way home from our road trip after seeing you. Gotta say, I wasn't impressed.
What? What did you get?
I don't even remember.
Yeah. Okay. See, that's your first. It wasn't a milkshake, I bet.
No, I did try one of the kids' milkshakes.
I bet you Josh loved it.
All 3 of them got milkshakes. I did not.
Yeah, and they loved it. Didn't they?
I mean, is there such thing as a bad milkshake?
Yes, first of all. And second of all, the good thing about Cookout milkshakes is they are thick, 2C thick. And at the bottom is all the good stuff, man. So you're working your way through that delicious thickness, creamy. And then you get to the bottom, and mine's peanut butter cheesecake. So like the last 4 inches is all cheesecake, peanut butter blended together.
And you can get through that before you want to puke or.
Oh no, I hate myself after. But my secret is I've always hated myself. So it's not like it's anything new. And God, it just hits so good. And yeah, fuck yeah. Anyways, Wednesday, Steve Buscemi's in it. He has a wig, and that threw me off. And Billy Piper is also in it. I did not expect that, but if you like the first season so far, you're probably going to like this season. I don't really have much to say yet because I haven't watched any more other than that. So give it a chance if that's your thing. And let's go into some news. What news do we have?
Do we have news?
We do.
Matt Smith Speaking of Billy Piper, Matt Smith has been cast as a villain in the Ryan Gosling Star Wars movie
Oh my gosh,
Starfighter.
those two are gonna ham it up in a Star Wars movie.
You
Did
know,
you
my
watch
first,
them in Morbius?
yeah, and
Oh
what was
yeah.
my first thought was like he didn't play a good villain in that, but he's played a fantastic villain in House of the Dragon.
Oh yeah, he was the only one who knew what movie he was in. He was hamming it up as that villain,
I think he
1000%.
regretted that decision
Probably, I
making
mean,
that
probably.
movie.
Meanwhile, Jared Leto's over there trying to go for the Oscar for his performance, and Matt Smith is goofy, and it was amazing. I'm all
Matt
about it.
Smith is goofy, but like when I saw him in House of the Dragon, I was truly impressed because it's so hard for me to look at him and not see the doctor, and not
Yeah,
just the doctor, but the doctor who wants to eat, fish sticks with custard or whatever it is.
yeah.
Or like who always has a feds, or not always has a feds, but you know what I mean. That's
Right.
the where I go when I see his face.
That's fair.
So I'm looking
Wednesday,
forward to it. I think it should be fun.
I'm excited. Ryan Gosling and Matt Smith into Star Wars. Yeah, Ryan Gosling, I'd watch read the Bible. Honestly, I think he's hilarious. I think he's awesome, and I like that he's in this unserious. And he's supposed to play a Jedi, I think, in that too, or something. I don't know. I could be just making that up, but I'm
We'll
in.
find out.
We'll find
Yeah.
out. Wednesday, we already talked about, is out now. Season 2 or part 2
Part
of
two.
season 2, because I don't understand the model here. Yeah, September
They're
3rd.
like, please don't cancel Netflix yet. You have to have it
Well,
for 2 months.
oh my God. I have things I could say, but Hulu's going away. Speaking of things that are going away, Disney is going to fully integrate Hulu into their stuff, get rid of the standalone Hulu app, and slowly take over the earth even more. So if you want your favorite Hulu shows, you'll have to go to the Disney Plus app and go through the Hulu thing. So if you didn't want Disney Plus, but now you do, and we're back to cable. Okay. We're back to cable. I don't know what to tell you.
But now
Disney
you have
owns
to have
everything.
multiple cable providers to watch what you want to watch.
Well, yeah. Speaking of which, I've cut out watching WWE at a good time because now they're going away from Peacock and ESPN bought them. And now you're going to have $30 a month or whatever to watch their pay per views unless you have cable, which you can watch them for free. And I'm like, well, I ditched WWE because they brought back a really problematic figure at a good time.
You know what's interesting is I do wonder how many, like, we watch sports less now because we don't have cable. Because it's like we have to pay for
Well,
something
the
extra. It's
NFL
like,
costs you like $1,200 at minimum to watch a full season.
well, and then one year I bought the NBA package, but then as soon as the games got good, I couldn't watch any of the Heat games. So I didn't buy the
Yeah,
NBA package, I
they
bought
block
the
you out.
Heat games.
Yeah,
Yeah. And so I
MLB
was
does
like,
the same
well,
thing. So does NHL. Even if you're out of market or like you can't watch your team. They block it out if it's considered in market, and
right. And
you're in market.
I used to have like Sports Center on in the background or First Take
Oh
on in the
God,
background, like
yeah.
something on in the background all the time. So like I don't ever have that. So I was like, I barely watch or
Sports
pay
Center now
attention to
has a
sports
TikTok
these
star
days.
doing like their reporting and stuff like that to try to reach a younger audience. Which cool by all means.
Which is
I
probably
would
smart.
sign me up. But I think the problem with modern day Sports Center is they fired everybody and they have Stephen A. Smith. So it's just a bunch of
I used
talking
to
heads
like
yelling
Stephen
at
A. I
each
feel like
other.
he used to not be such
He used to not be.
whatever he
You
is now.
actually used to get really good X's and O's. I loved ESPN was always on. We would get very good game recaps. You get your X's and O's, but now it's just people yelling at each other, and I don't
Well,
care.
and it's also it's like
Don't
now, okay, if UM's playing, I'm like, okay, well, what station are they playing, or what do we have to download, or can we do a free trial, or do we have to pay $60 for the whole month to watch this one game, or maybe
care.
it's
Yeah.
on the antenna.
Did you
But like
know
we
that
don't live in Miami anymore, huh?
Miami only has 4 games outside the state of Florida this season, and they don't
Really?
travel outside of Florida until November?
I mean, I have all their games on my calendar, but I haven't looked.
You're welcome. Anyways, Punisher special presentation. That's wrapped filming. How you feeling there? Frank's got
I'm
a nice
excited.
sparkly new look. I'm excited. DT might not be excited because DT doesn't like anything. In our Discord, he was like, "Why are we getting this?" And I said, "But why not? Because it's Punisher." And
Oh,
Punisher leads into our last bit of news, which is we got some cool things. What's our last bit of news?
my last bit of news is that my battery is running low, and I'm going to plug it in.
Oh, okay.
So why
Well,
don't you
while you
take
do
this
that,
news?
Spider-Man is actively filming right now. There are pics galore. Spider-Man's back on his practical effects. He's hanging from the wire. He's web slinging. He's got explosions in the background. There's some really cool tanks with some interesting logos on them. And then, of course, he has the suit with the raised webbing. But allegedly, Punisher and Hulk are in this movie as well. So just tread lightly out there. Now that I've told you everything that we've seen so far, but I am curious. I feel like I don't want to see the whole movie before it actually comes out, but that's the news we got. We'll be right back. We're going to take a quick break as we are going to go into Eyes of Wakanda. So bear with us. We will see you in a moment. And we're back. Welcome to episode 1 of Eyes of Wakanda Into the Lion's Den. Now, to recap this one, spoilers, of course, if you don't want spoilers, come back after you've watched it. And it's 1260 BC. It's actually BC, fun fact, stands for before cookout. Now, we kick off in Crete. Pirates are coming to attack, cloaked in golden lions. Cut to Wakanda and Nani, who was kicked out of the Dora Milaje for not being a good rule follower. She's asked to take down this lion leader, as he is from Wakanda and has their weapons. She succeeds, however, loses the weapons after being told she can come back to the Dora Milaje. She declines and then chooses to become a war dog, which war dogs are essentially the CIA of Wakanda. They were mentioned in Wakanda Forever, actually, and Nakia was one as well. Their
Nakia.
job,
I love
Nakia, sorry,
Nakia.
my
Oh,
bad. Their job
I
is to
love her.
collect info around the world and keep Wakanda safe. So this was the first episode. Lauren, what did you think about this episode?
So I wasn't really sure what to think. I didn't have any idea going into this. And so after the first episode, I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. I wasn't really sure where they were going. I will say I genuinely love the artwork, which I was very excited about because I did not watch Spider-Man freshman year. I got maybe 15 minutes
Oh,
in
yeah.
and the artwork was not for me. Doesn't
That's
mean
fair.
it wasn't, I mean, it was really cool artwork.
It's a
I just
newer
felt like it
style of
was,
artwork. You have to kind of get adjusted to. I understand where you're coming from.
yeah, I guess so. But
That's how I felt with
maybe it's how
Spider-Verse,
you felt
honestly.
with, I was going to say Martian Manhunter.
Yeah,
Like, I
well,
felt
yeah, the
like the
artwork in the
art was
book,
taking
yeah.
away from the story, maybe. I don't know if anybody, but I also didn't have anybody be like, "No, you have to go back and watch it." But I thought this was I was shocked how far back we were. I didn't know it was all the way before
Yeah.
Cookout. Uh, but I liked it, and I like one of the things I love about the Wakandans is going all the way back into present day. You don't really pick up on sexism, and that's actually kind of really nice,
Yeah.
especially going back into the past and like you still aren't dealing with
They've been equal
sexism.
opportunity since day one, just about.
Yeah, I mean, you have the Dora Milaje and you have the war dogs and stuff, and but like they're both like badass if the Dora Milaje aren't more badass. So
I feel like, yeah, they're the most badass non-powered group in Wakanda. I mean, obviously the Black Panther has the power, but the Dora Milaje, they kick some serious ass, man.
yeah.
Legit.
So one of the things I really liked about this episode, I'm gonna wait till the end because I didn't know where they were going, and so I don't want to in
Oh,
case
yeah.
like here's your Tim Lee or your Tim Lee, your Stanley Tim cameo. Like if you don't listen to cartoon or you don't like watching cartoons and you're listening to this, so you can just know what's going on in the MCU without having to watch. I want to wait till we get to the end because I was really excited to see where we got to at the end
Oh, right. I know
with
exactly
a
what you're talking
certain character making me feel a certain way. But
about. Yeah.
what I thought was really cool was seeing all these different cultures from around the world. You know, we saw like a Viking and a Samoan, and so like this guy had gone around the world and collected other like warriors, so to speak, to fight. You know, for him.
Yeah, that's a good point. I do like that because I was kind of confused at first almost. I was, hey, shouldn't they be Wakandan? Then he was Wakandan, but like
Right, at first I'm
obviously
like,
what I
"That's a
like is,
Viking."
well, yeah, because what I enjoy is not everything is black and white as far as Wakanda goes, which I thought was actually pretty rad in its own respect because it gives you different takes. It's just like any country, right? You're gonna have people who are not going to be the good guys of their country. They're going to be bad guys. And so getting to see this leader and then how badass, Nani was, she took him on, made it up there. And even he was like, wow, you're the only one who basically has ever made it this far.
Mhm.
They do a wicked, crazy duel. Like their fight sequence was awesome. Probably one of my favorites, if not my favorite in this entire season or series. I don't know if they're going to get more, but it was really good. And I thought the artwork was colorful. It flowed smooth. Their fight flowed smooth because sometimes the
Yeah,
animation it might not flow
it can be
as
a little
smooth.
sticky, yeah.
Yeah, and this was beautiful. I love the backdrop too, the beautifulness of being at this island and where we get to go and seeing like their armor was shiny. I thought seeing a lot of the technology that we're used to seeing for Wakanda, while at the same time having it be
So long
not,
ago,
yeah, it takes place so far in the past, so they don't have everything
like
modern, but
ancient aliens.
yeah, but they're still at the same time so technologically advanced.
I mean, they have
That's
texting in
cool.
this,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, which is the next one, probably my favorite episode of the 4, Legends and Lies. What happens in this one?
So this one we actually get to see Achilles and a Wakandan working together. So we're in Greece, complete with Trojans and all. So the Wakandan's name is Bakai. However, he's under the alias Memnon, and he is serving with Achilles under Odysseus' command. So together they're fighting the Trojans, but Memnon has a mission to collect a Wakanda item because we learn, that's what these war dogs are doing. They're going around collecting all these items. that have gotten all over the planet because they're worried those weapons can be used against Wakandans, which is, of course, what we've seen with Namor and everything. Um, so enter the Trojan horse plan, which of course we all know. They even named a
Listen,
brand of
guys, if
condoms
you don't
after
need to
it,
see
even
Christopher
though
Nolan's Odyssey next year, okay? Because this is it. This is the Odyssey
I
right here.
still think it was a terrible name for a condom because these little guys get out of the horse. They get out of it,
I've
the
always
Trojans escape.
Yes, I've always
But
been interested by that brand name because even the Trojan soldiers, they die. I don't know. I have no
so
idea.
Helen of Troy actually has the item from Wakanda. Achilles sees Memnon let Helen and Paris go after leaving him. So basically, Memnon was fighting with Achilles, and like they're like BFF. They've been together 9 years.
Yeah.
Achilles really thinks of him
This
as
is the
his friend
10-year
after
war in
these
case
nine
people don't
years.
know.
He even gave him a necklace that his mom had given him, which he said was good luck. And I'll get into a little bit of Greek mythology.
Yeah.
So he sees Menmom leave him basically to die. He does survive, and then he sees him let Helen and Paris go. And of course they fight. Memnon gets him in the Achilles heel by slicing his Achilles heel. Even though he really didn't want to, he tried not to fight his friend, but he did because Wakanda forever, Wakanda first. After holding him until he actually dies, he then puts his coins on his eyes for the fairy because you got to have the tokens for the fairy to get to the underworld or to get to the next life. So then we see Bakai, aka Memnon, talking with an older Nani from episode 1 after he gets back to Wakanda. So he's got the item. He killed his best friend. Now he's back in Wakanda.
I love the
And
tie-in from episode 1 there.
yes, because she's got the eye patch from the injury that she
Yeah.
sustained in that fight. And she's an older, wiser Nani, and she's leading the war dogs and everything. And he feels guilty, and he feels alone being back in Wakanda and having done everything he did. And he asks for another mission, and then he clutches the necklace that Achilles gave him, which again was from his mom and brought him good luck. So
Yeah.
in the mythology, Paris, who was with Helen of Troy, is the one who gets Achilles in the heel with a poisoned dart because that was the only part of him that was vulnerable after his mother dipped him in the river Styx to protect him. But of course, she was holding his heels,
I
which
know,
is why
yeah.
those were not protected. So I loved the connections to the mythology, making it quote unquote realistic, even though this is, Marvel. And
Mhm.
it totally makes sense that we would see mythological characters in this because not only do we have Norse mythology, we have since met Hercules and Zeus. So this is, it
I'm
makes sense. I
curious
thought it was
when
really
we'll
cool.
see those guys again, but I, as a history
Everyone
nerd,
is.
this obviously we know Homer's The Odyssey, all that is amazing work. So to see Memnon, for example, being, Wakandan, I thought that was a really cool way to introduce them into this. Troy was beautiful. It was really cool seeing
Oh, gorgeous, like
everything in there.
watercolor paintings, it seemed
Yeah,
like.
it was beautiful. And then of course their fight against that lit fire, and you can feel the pain, and Achilles, you were my brother, and he's, hey, please don't make me fight you. I don't want to fight you. I had to do this. And then he goes to destroy the necklace, and he's like, this is what you came and betrayed me for. And it was a very heartfelt moment. I thought the emotion was there, and the emotional beats hit really, really well. Again, seeing that Wakanda's history is not so black and white, it's bloody. They are self-serving for a reason. Like, you look out for your own, and he had a mission to go to. And then when he does get back, there's that really tender moment in the woods, like we're talking about, where he's talking, I don't feel like me. I feel alone. This sucks.
When I
It's really
feel like
not great.
you can definitely speak to what I'm going to say way more than I can or have any business to, but I imagine that every soldier that serves their country has questions about, how much you're doing is right and how much do you carry home with that
Oh man,
PTSD,
especially
whether
with
what you did was
the
right or wrong.
Afghanistan war. I mean, granted, I've never had to make those types of decisions, but I have carried caskets on and off of planes, for example, and I've still seen a lot of this stuff, and I've seen the aftermath, and then not to mention the way everything ended up. What was the 20 years for? In the end, we just packed up, left everything, and just dipped. So you're right. I mean, people have died, and it really doesn't feel like for anything. And you die for your nation, your country, you put something on the line, you get back, and you're just kind of, okay, for what? And those feelings ring true with a lot of people, especially you see a lot of veterans of the early days of the 2003 war and things of that nature that went on for so long. But it is a very good parallel again using that and wrapping it all in. And I'm not going to get on a soapbox about it, but I do like that. And then again with Paris and stuff, I really loved the mythologicalness and the lore playing a big factor into everything with them. And all I can think of too is what was the 2004 movie or whatever, Troy, with Eric Bana, Brad
And
Pitt,
Brad Pitt, yeah.
Orlando Bloom, all of them. That's what I was thinking in my head at the same time, which is kind of funny.
I was
But
too. I was picturing Achilles getting stabbed with the arrow.
it
I was
was
picturing
Orlando
Brad Pitt
Bloom.
going down. Yeah,
No, I definitely did as well, but it was a good episode. This was probably overall storytelling wise my favorite episode for how
I think I
emotional
agree
it
too.
was.
I think it was
But
also fun to just see something that you're familiar with. Like I'm not too
oh
familiar
yeah,
with, 1200 BC. And I really like the other two too, but like this was a time feel like,
we're very familiar. Yeah.
right. And like,
If you're a history
Kaylee,
buff or if you're a
yeah.
cultured human, you
And
might know a thing about the 10 years Trojan War, how
well,
it
and
was
I
fought
raised
over a
a
woman.
kid, I know. And I mean, but also like
Your
I raised
daughter's
a
only a
kid and
massive
just,
history major.
right. And Kaylee dragged us all around Greece, showing us all
That's
these
cool.
different temples. And my God, the kid were at the Acropolis. Josh and I, like, can we just sit down for a minute? She's like, can I keep looking at stuff? She was 12 at the time. But hey, shout out to Kaylee, even though she doesn't listen to us. My daughter just graduated from college with a
She did.
major in history. So
I enjoy when she comes with us because I'm a history nerd and nobody else wants to go and look at all those stupid things that you do, but I will gladly get historical facts all day. I freaking
I
love
like
that.
it, but I can't go as long as Kaylee can. And
I
the other
could
two can't
I
go
could
at
do
all.
this all day.
My other kids don't give a fuck. Unless it's the
Yeah.
ice cream museum. They like that one.
Oh yeah. To be fair, very good. Let's
It's
go
not
into
a
episode 3,
museum.
Lost and Found. Now recap. This is 1400 after Dominoes. Another war dog mission. Agent Basha wakes up next to a pretty local girl,
We're in
steals a
China.
dragon statue, yes, with some Wakandan artifacts stuck in it. He escapes into his Wakandan ship to head home. A dragon curse supposedly protects the village, which Agent Basha is not buying, and returns home victoriously. Basha is an agent who doesn't take anything very seriously. As you can tell, he's just chill, laid back, joking.
He's enjoying his
Suddenly,
life.
we get Danny. This isn't Danny. It's the immortal Iron Fist. It in Wakanda looking for Basha. Hold the phone.
Did
The Iron
not see
Fist
that coming.
was the girl he left in bed. Oh, the plot thickens. See,
Hell hath no
she
fury,
at
like
least wrote
the
a note,
woman
man.
scorned.
She found him in a blizzard and nursed him back to health in more ways than one. When he left, she followed him. They both played each other a bit, and now she wants what he stole. Jirani finds the room with the artifacts and assumes they just steal from others. Her people had the statue with the vibranium tongue for 1,000 years. She wants that back. They fight, and we learn Jirani defeated the dragon Shao Lai and took his powers because she is the Iron Fist. Basha then defends her from another Wakandan, and he's insistent they work something out. She then takes the tongue out, hands it to Basha. Basha apologizes to both of them, tells a lie to High Counselor so Jirani can leave. All is well. Now, what is interesting about this is I think that this is based on Wu Aoshi, who was the last woman Iron Fist. She was the first woman to
Oh.
defeat Shao Lao, which then she took the dragon's powers and used it and kind of, became not a tyrant, but a warrior. And she channeled his powers into arrows that she would fire and things like that, making him more powerful. But yeah, they don't, obviously Jirani is differently named, but I think that this is who she was based off of because again,
That's cool.
defeats, the Shao Lai and everything like that at the same time. So a
And
little
at
bit of
no
Iron
point does
Fist
she
lore, if you
say,
will.
I am the immortal Iron Fist.
She
She was
showed up in
way
that
more cooler.
costume. It was awesome. I did like her outfit. Her Iron Fist outfit was very comic booky, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, as
But
soon as I saw the cover, because it's like next episode, and I see the Iron Fist
well, I know.
mask, I was
Leave
like,
it to
oh,
Disney
that's
to
cool.
ruin what's about to happen, right?
One of the things I thought would have been
Next
cool, and I didn't
time.
look this up, but it didn't sound like her. I was like, they should have had like Colleen voice her or something. That would have been kind of cool.
Oh, actually, who somebody did voice her, and it was pretty. It
Oh,
was Jonah Xiao. I don't
but
know if I
that's not
pronounced that
Colleen.
right. It's not. She is a Chinese American actress. She's been very prolific. So she was in The Flash as Carrie Bates for a while. She was in Raya and the Last Dragon. She played young Namari.
Oh.
But she's been in some other TV shows and things like that. Those would
I mean,
be
she
like
did a
her
good
two
job.
big
I just thought it
things.
would have been a cool nod. I want to see
Oh yeah,
Colleen again. I'd rather see Colleen before we see Danny. I really liked her. And I
we want
heard
both.
the actress was offered a part in Shang-Chi and turned it down because she didn't want to
She wants to
retire
come back.
Colleen. Yeah.
Yeah. And well, I mean, now we're getting the
And
Netflix
yeah, she
characters
might have made
kind
a
of back.
very good decision. I mean, not that being in Shang-Chi would be a bad
Well, they
decision,
offered
but
her, so I wonder if her turning it down also played into, hey, this actress is really holding out hope. She wants it. The people
like all
want
these
it.
characters want to come back. Yeah.
They do.
Whereas
And
like,
Jessica Jones is back. Why can't we get Luke Cage as mayor either? There's no reason we can't.
I would love to have Luke Cage's mayor. That would be so cool.
Yeah.
And then Laura Kinney can come back, and
There's
it'll be
no
all
reason
fun.
Laura Kinney can't come back, especially with all this multiverse crap.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, they went back and got her. But
Yeah.
what was with Blade though, it makes more sense because his character died. So it's like these other characters are still
There's
alive
only
and
ever
stuff.
going to
Whereas
be
I
one
want Misty Knight
Blade.
back. We definitely need Misty. If they bring everybody back and don't bring
I
her
need to
back,
see Misty Knight and I
with
need to see Captain
Falcon,
America.
Captain America, yeah.
I need to see those two on screen together, without a doubt. We're getting off topic.
And I need
Anyway.
to see Sam Wilson, Captain America, turn into a werewolf and Misty laugh at him.
Oh, yeah. Back to this episode. I really enjoyed this for the fight sequences as well, but I thought it was interesting because they have a lot of artifacts from other places, which also plays into the final scene of episode 4 in a way at the same time. So what were your thoughts on this?
So on episode 3, I feel like it was a more fun episode. I think that was kind of cool. It was nice to
Oh
have
yeah, it was.
a little levity in between because these episodes were a little darker and very violent.
They were serious too,
Um,
yeah.
I really liked when they both claimed that the one seduced the other. No, I seduced you. But the other artifacts though, they were originally theirs. They were stealing. Is it stealing if you're stealing back what's yours?
I guess not. No,
Like
you're
if a
right.
Jewish person
That was mine.
goes to a Nazi's house and says, "Hey, this was my grandmother's painting," are they wrong?
I don't think so. I don't know. What if it could be? I don't know. These are all good questions. Why are you putting
Was
me on
that
this? I
very
don't know.
I thought you were gonna be
What
like,
do
"Of
I
course it
say
was okay
here?
that
I
the
don't
Jewish person took their
know.
grandmother's painting back." They're just taking back the shit that was their
But you
ancestors.
said, was it their painting? And then this goes into like the whole this spirals in my head because currently they're taking over other people's lands that they
Okay,
shouldn't be taking that they say is theirs. So
so here's the thing. Let's say I steal a painting. Let's not even make it a painting. I stole a Funko Pop and I give it to you and I'm like, "Happy birthday." And you're like, "Oh my gosh, thank you." You didn't steal the Funko Pop, but you have the Funko Pop. It's yours now. However, if somebody goes to you and they're like, "Hey, you know that Funko Pop? Lauren actually stole that Funko Pop." Now you have a stolen Funko Pop. So now you have the intent to keep it, thereby owning stolen property, or you can return it. So once you know you have stolen property, aren't you also the thief?
well, yeah,
So there you go. So now that you
technically.
tell Jeroni, like, "Hey, this was ours first, you guys
All
stole
right.
it from us." I
Lawyered.
mean,
Boom. Good
there,
job.
you have to
Your
have
Honor, I rest my
skill,
defense.
but
Thank
you
you, Your
can.
Honor.
Yes, the actual intent part can come later. So it's like if you accidentally, have something in your
Other
cart you didn't
news,
pay for, it's
we are
not
going to be
stolen.
starting up a special Patreon tier that if
Chill.
you need legal advice, I'm giving you her phone number.
Only if you're in the state of Florida. I cannot practice law in any other state.
I mean, Florida man for a reason, right? Florida's got a lot of the issues, so go ahead.
Everybody has issues. We just have laws that allow you to
Public issues.
access. Well, no, it's you have a Virginia man. He's out there. You just don't have access to his records the second
Maybe
he's
he's me.
arrested.
Maybe it's
He
Micah.
is you. I thought you were a Massachusetts man.
I am, but I live in Virginia, so maybe what if they consider
All
me?
right.
I don't know. Anyways,
Episode 4, the last partner
yes.
and the last episode. So we are in Ethiopia City around 1896. So we've jumped ahead again. So Prince Tafari watches as a battle ensues. This is the Prince of Wakanda, and he's trying to extract an artifact because that's what we're doing in this show. He's with a bit of a babysitter named Kuda. Kuda is a war dog. So the prince acts recklessly but gets the artifact. As Kuda and the prince go back and forth on different opinions on how war dogs should behave, so someone shows up and attacks. The attacker, however, is Wakandan. So they're very confused. So they basically got the artifact and they're heading back to Wakanda. Somebody shows up and like causes chaos. And they're like, "We don't know who this is." And of course, Kuda does not believe it's a Wakandan, however, because he doesn't know her. She then shows them that she is a Wakandan from 500 years into the future. And she says that everything has been destroyed and that's why she's there. The whole world actually teamed up together to fight off an alien attack. However, Wakanda, because of their laws, kept separate from everyone else and didn't help, causing the official demise. If they had been able to help, they could have saved the world. This attack was actually made by the Queen of Wakanda and the very last Black Panther. There's only a few Dora Milaje left. However, they sent the Queen back in time to the past to find out what actually led to this and to their laws being so strict. And it turns out it was these war dog missions. They traced it back to these missions and the artifacts, specifically the axe that young Prince Nefari was able to grab. So as it will then this grabbing this axe starts a chain reaction that essentially destroys the world. So they tell him, "Hey, you got to put this axe back." However, as she's trying to convince him, she actually gets sucked back to the future right after she tells them that the current queen is pregnant because she's like, "Hey, look, I know the current queen's pregnant. This is what me trying to prove to you I'm from the future." Of course, Kudo's like, "Okay, she's just crazy," and then the prince is like, "No, actually, my mom is pregnant. It's just only family royalty info right now." So they go on faith and they decide, okay, let's go return the axe. And they actually do. And then you think that the Kuda is getting left for dead, but the prince goes back and rescues Kuda. And then they tell everyone that they abandoned their mission, but the axe was definitely destroyed. So they lied. And they then say, I wish we could see the future that hopefully we saved. And then we cut to, this is the best freaking scene. I love this so much. We cut to
Yeah.
seeing Killmonger staring at the axe in a museum.
It was really good. The way he looked from behind, of course, you don't really see him, but it
But you
was
know
ripped way out.
exactly who it is.
Yeah. And I thought that was really cool how they tied that all together very beautifully.
With a
And this
beautiful
episode
little
was
bow.
great too, because Kuda was like, or when they get back, the prince was essentially, I used my rank on Kuda and I outruled him, all of that stuff. And I thought that was really cool way for the prince to finally learn at the end. The whole time he was teaching was, that was the lesson within, Kuda was trying to teach him this lesson the whole time. And the prince finally kind of got it at the end was, hey, nope, I pulled rank on him, XYZ. And then they had that nice talk of, like you said, I can't wait to see what, hopefully we save the future and all that kind of stuff. And then you see Killmonger was dope. I really liked that ending. Really,
Because
really liked it.
the whole point was they needed Wakanda to see that the rest of the world needs them. And Killmonger did that. He's like, black people are dying all over the world and you guys
Yeah.
aren't doing anything. And so we actually go into a little bit of that in a minute because what you see in the movie is his dad was a war dog and he goes
Yeah.
out there and sees how terrible things are and Wakanda could help fix this. They could literally help
They could have
with
helped the world.
racism and more than that and so many things. And what is so interesting is episode 1, the lion guy reminded me of Killmonger because he's
Yeah.
like, what right
Yeah.
do we have to keep a just because the asteroid happened to hit Wakanda, they get to benefit from this and nobody else does. Like that's literally all it is
It's a
like
good point. I really, yeah, that's what it is. I fully agree. And it makes a really compelling argument to, are they really, I mean, their methods aren't the best, but their message makes some sense.
but I mean, I guess it's like the old, how much like they've done a good job taking care of their people. But it's like, do you have a responsibility to take care of other people? Well, when the whole world is attacked by aliens, I guess that's when they realize like you do have a responsibility to take care
Yeah.
of your
I mean,
neighbors.
you're all in this world together, which kind of leads into some comic book origin that Lauren put together about the war dogs. They were originally called the Hatut Zarazi, which in Wakanda is dogs of war. They are Wakandan security forces that operate separate of the Dora Milaje. In the comics, they have become controversial and sometimes operate without the authority of the Black Panther and have even been cut off, causing a bit of a revolt. When Ulysses' Claw killed King T'Chaka, the Hatut Zarazi led an investigation to track down his killer in Black Panther 2005, issue number 3. The War Dogs were more of a secret until his death. However, T'Challa subsequently banished the organization once he became king because he thought them too extreme. The War Dogs retaliated by joining T'Challa's estranged adopted brother Hunter, otherwise known as the White Wolf. Side note, this is Bucky's nickname in Wakanda. The War Dogs at this point had become mercenaries but still felt loyal to Wakanda. Later, after Namor attacked Wakanda, Shuri, now on the throne, brought back the Hatut Zarazi to attack Atlantis. T'Challa was still alive and not happy about it. And, he kept them around once back on the throne despite the tensions that it caused. The War Dogs, at the end of the day, down to defend Wakanda no matter what. So, yes, they have had their history and they've had their
And they
problems, but they
are
serve a
mentioned in
purpose.
the other movies. Like Killmonger had war dogs on his side in Black Panther. And like we said,
Yeah.
like his was on a war dog mission. And I really liked that, like, the Namor drama, though, spawned from the Wakandans becoming public. So it's interesting that, they question whether that was a good idea to go public because obviously
Right.
Riri wouldn't have created a vibranium finder if she didn't know that there was vibranium. We thought Captain America's shield was the only vibranium. So we're like, this is an issue that has become, that will, I think, and hope become a bigger issue because I want to see more
Yeah.
Namor. But obviously, the world being able to come together in 500 years to fight the literal globe being destroyed is more important than Atlantis first, the rest of the world.
Right.
Not Atlantis. I can't remember what it's called in the movie now.
I
Place where Namor's from.
I
I
can't
love
remember
the
anymore.
Mexican twist, but I can't remember the
Yeah, I
name.
can't remember the name off the top of my head, but no, there's a lot of good lore steeped in this, and I am curious. I wonder if we get more of this. Again, it takes so long, but there was a writer's strike. There was all of COVID and things like that, so they
Well, and
did
also, I
begin
don't
this
think
in
this
2020. But
this being a prequel, I feel like they probably weren't rushed. It was probably like,
no, I mean you
we
didn't
have
really
all these other
have
things that are
to.
more important because it's present day, whereas this was
Right.
like a really cool backstory.
No, you're 100% right. That's what we have though for this
I loved it.
episode.
It was way
Anyways,
better
I
than I
really enjoyed
expected.
it. Absolutely, really, really loved this. I love getting into some of this lore, like Marvel history, if you will. I'm a big history nerd, so anytime we get to dive into some of the history behind the characters or where they're from, especially some place like Wakanda that has a large amount of history and the things that they've done throughout their
Yeah.
time.
And
I
it's
love
another
it, man.
timeline for poor Loki to have to hold at the end of time.
Yeah, that's true too. But it's also just more fun. I don't know. You don't have to watch it to understand what's going on in Marvel, but I really
No, but you
recommend.
should. It was so
Yeah,
good.
it was so good. It really
Maybe we
adds a
just
lot of
spoiled
depth
it
to
all.
them. Yeah, true. But hopefully this makes you maybe go watch it. If not, if you haven't. But aside from that, we will be going into our Peacemaker recap, get you ready for season 2 next episode. That's going to be on the lookout for that. We got some Supernatural coming down the pipe as we get ready. Oh my gosh, we have to finish. We've got a month
We're
to
not
finish.
finishing on time. I told you that wasn't going to happen.
Oh, we will, I believe.
It
I
takes me
believe.
way too long to prep for one episode.
I believe in us. We will
Okay.
figure
You're
this
not
out.
even allowed to look at screens for the next week.
Shoot.
That
We'll
doesn't
figure this
matter.
out.
Even if you could, that has nothing to do with it.
I can still listen.
We're going to do our best, but it's not going to happen.
We're going to try. But in the meantime, make sure you like, subscribe, share, follow, leave a review, all of that good stuff. Find us on social media, drop us an email, all of that fine jazz. And until we see you next time, thanks for hanging out with us. Cheers, everybody.